All right, Larry Kruger here from the Pig and a Pickle Crew Show with a little 49er video. It's now or never for 12 key 49ers this summer. We'll go through all 12 and tell you who's going to make it and who's not, whose time is coming and it's now, and whose time with the 49ers is not coming and it's never. It sounds dramatic, but we'll hit it next. First, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. All right. Every year, you've got everybody's got a different deal when they go to camp. Some guys are set and they just want to stay healthy until week one. Other guys, there's nothing guaranteed, and they're going to fight like it's tooth and nail to make the roster. And everybody's on a different timeline. Some guys are, they're rookies and they were high draft choices. So even if they don't make the roster, they'll probably go on practice squad or IR, and they're kind of on scholarship. And then after, but then the NFL, they say stands for not for long. So you got to make it happen. You may get more than a year, you may get 2, you may get 3, but you ain't getting more than that. And if you can't contribute, it's time to move on, and teams move on. So the Niners, in my opinion, have 12 guys that are now, definitely in that now or never mode. And let's go through all 12, and then we'll give them a now or never grade. We'll start with Danny Gray. He's had 1 catch for 10 yards in his career. They just drafted Jacob Cowing to be the speed receiver. Gray has not been able to stay healthy. He's got a lot of talent. When I saw him at SMU, I thought, man, this guy looks like he runs in the 4.2s. So with the fact that he clocked 4.33, if anything, he actually plays faster than that. But guess what? You got the roster's full at wide receiver, and you just drafted Pearsall and Cowing. So Danny Gray is going to have to be spectacular this summer. And he hasn't been able to stay healthy. So now or never for Danny Gray. I'm going to say it's never. Ronnie Bell's an interesting guy. His dad coached college football. He's very advanced in a lot of ways as a route runner. In some ways, he might be the Niners' best route runner. But for the same reasons that Danny Gray, it's now or never. It's now or never for this guy. Now, they may be able to trade him for a 5th or 6th round pick if he has a good preseason because, I think he's very likely to play really well. But I don't see any roster spots for Ronnie Bell. So I'm going to say never. I think his Niner career comes to an end. My guess is, though, that he plays well and that there's a team that gives the Niners a day 3 draft choice for Ronnie Bell, and they trade him at the cutdown. Big play Tay Martin. I love Tay Martin. I've been talking him up. I've interviewed him a bunch of times. I loved him at Wazoo. He transferred to Oak State. He was even good at Oak State. He's a great possession receiver, but they have Juwan Jennings. So unless they move Juwan Jennings, there's no room at the end for Tay Martin. There's no room on the roster for big play Tay. So they may move Jennings because they are in a cap situation, and Martin's cheaper, and he, in a lot of ways, can do a lot of the things Jennings can do. But Jennings has done it in big games, including the Super Bowl. And I know that if the Niners wanted to trade Juwan Jennings, there'd be a bunch of teams that were around the NFL that would take him. So they may. And if Tay Martin has a monster preseason, they really may decide to move off of Juwan Jennings. But if it's now or never for Tay Martin, I'm going to say it's never. Make or break, it's going to break for Tay. Let's move on to Spencer Burford. Burford was good as a rookie, regressed as a second-year player. In a lot of ways, he's the prototype. I mean, he's big, he's strong, he's got long arms, he's got experience at guard, at tackle. He's a smart player. But, man, he had a high-profile mistake in the Super Bowl in a key play. It might have cost the Niners the game. They have a bunch of offensive linemen that they brought in. 2 draft choices on O-linemen, 2 undrafted guys. But I'm going to say it's now for Spencer Burford. I think there's too much talent there for him to just wash out. The Niners have too much of a need, and he's too talented of a guy. And I just think in year 3, Forster will get this guy up and ready. So I'm going to say it's now. I think Spencer Burford makes the team. Nick Sakel. This is Brock Purdy's, is in Brock Purdy's wedding party. This is Brock Purdy's roommate. For that reason alone, he has a reasonable shot to make the team. But he's got to show that he's not a tackle. He's a center or a guard. He's got to show that he can be a dependable backup at the very least, or it's time to move on. And the Niners have a bunch of guys, and it's going to be challenging for him to make the roster. I mean, very, very, very challenging. So if it comes down to now or never for Nick Sakel, I'm going to say never. I'm going to say he's going to get moved on at the cut down. All right, let's go to Cam Latu. Cam Latu looked terrible last year. Drafted him in the 3rd round over Dawan Jones. Would have been nice, the big offensive tackle from Ohio State who went to the Browns. They went with Latu instead, and he was awful. Balls ricocheted off him. He had a million drops. He looked terrible. But I think he was looking terrible just because he had a lot going on in his head. There's a lot to learn. His head was spinning, and it impacted his hands. And I expect Latu to be one of the most improved players in camp this summer. He's too big, too fast, too strong, too talented to be a nothing. If he shows up and plays like he did last summer, he'll make everybody's job really, really easy, and they'll cut him loose. And they'll probably sign a veteran off the street. But I'm going to say it's now for Cam Latu. I think he finds himself in year 2. I think the game slows down for him. He's had a year to digest the formations, the plays, everything. If he's at any level of a hard worker, he will be dramatically improved this year and will make the team. Braden Willis was a favorite of the Niners in the draft process. They gave him a gold helmet designation, but he's shaped like a fullback. I don't know that he's more of a receiver than a blocker. I think they lost Charlie Warner. They're going to be looking for a blocker. I think Mason Pline is probably a better prospect than Willis as a receiver. Willis has a lot of nice things to like, but unless they see him as the heir apparent to Kyle Juszczyk and he somehow is going to play fullback, I think it's never. I think it's never for Braden Willis, which is hard to say because I know they like him a lot and he's a great kid. All right, let's move on to Jordan Mason. It's got to be now for Mason. They can't move off of Mason. He's too big, too fast, too talented. He's already given us glimpses of major, major talent. This guy and Jahmyr Gibbs were the guys at Georgia Tech. They were a tandem there. And Mason went undrafted, and he's had some amazing individual plays. I realize it's a deep running back room. It's going to be hard to make the team. I'm going to say it's now for Jordan Mason. You're not cutting this guy. He's too big, too fast, too talented. He makes it. His time's now. Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson had 3 sacks in week 1 against the Steelers, and then he wound up playing 7 more games and then losing the rest of the year to a knee injury. He can't get it the right weight. He's not strong enough. He's got a great motor. He can play inside from time to time. I think this is going to be a now situation for Drake. The need's there. They've got a real need for edge rushing talent. He's got a lot of talent. I think Chris gets it out of him this year. So I'm going to say it's now for Drake Jackson. Kalia Davis. Kalia Davis started as an inside linebacker, just kept getting bigger, bigger, bigger at University of Central Florida. I really have been touting this guy for the last year. He's got great pass rush ability on the inside at 290. But there's just other guys. He hasn't been able to really make an impact. I don't think he plays strong enough against the run. He doesn't play with a bended knee with leverage. He stands up. That's okay if you're a pass rusher, and he is, but he hasn't been getting home as a pass rusher enough. So now or never for Kalia. I'm going to say it's never. Robert Beal Jr. From Georgia, just really athletic, got improved as the year went on. He should show up this summer if he has got a good work ethic with some moves, some counters. I'm expecting great things out of Beal this summer. He's a great athlete. He improved as the year went on last year, and he got some run late in the year. But it's time for him to make it or not. And I'm going to say it's now. I'm going to say he's going to make it. And then Samuel Womack III. I could have put Darrell Luter on this list. I could have put Ambry Thomas on this list. But I think those guys are probably going to make it. Womack is the guy that's on the bubble. He really looked good in camp last year and then just evaporated in the season and was inactive down the stretch and for all the playoff games. So I don't know how they view him, but to me, you can't cut this guy. If you can never have enough good corners. If you cut this guy, it's going to be like Deshaun Jameson last year, where they cut him and he went to Carolina and he wound up playing all year for Carolina. You wind up cutting Sam Womack, and he's going to wind up playing in the NFL, maybe starting and playing well, and you're going to look bad. So I say it's now for Womack. I think he's going to come of age this year. So there you have it. 12 now or never players. Now, guys that are going to take advantage of their opportunity this summer: Sam Womack, Robert Beal Jr., Drake Jackson, Jordan Mason, Cam Latu, Spencer Burford. Those are the guys that are going to make the team, and their time is now. As far as whose time is going to run out, and it's going to be never as far as the Niners are concerned: Kalia Davis, Braden Willis, Nick Sakel, Tay Martin, Ronnie Bell, and Danny Gray. If 10 of these 12 players all fulfill their potential and all make the team, the Niners will be one of the deepest teams in pro football. If none of these guys make the team and step up, and it's not now for any of them, the Niners are going to probably take a step back behind Green Bay and Detroit, behind Philly, behind KC and Baltimore, and they won't be the same level of Super Bowl contender that those teams are. They'll be in that second tier because that's just too many missed picks, too much draft failure. If all these guys wind up being busts, if it shakes out the way I believe it's going to shake out, with Womack and Beal and Jackson and Mason and Latu and Burford all finding roster spots, I think it bodes well for a good season for the 49ers. But yeah, it's now or it's never. All right. Let's thank Pig in a Pickle, the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out. They're in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. And this video is brought to you by our sponsor, Aura. And now a word from Aura.
Have you ever typed your name on the internet and seen all of your private information is online? Are you tired of receiving tons of spam calls from random numbers? Are you receiving more and more of these as time has gone on? Well, that's where Aura, the sponsor of today's show, can really help you out. Data brokers sell your information to scammers and spammers and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, your email, your home address, all your records, your health records, who your relatives are. It's all out there. That's why I've been using Aura. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers who could use the information to help them access my social media accounts, my bank accounts, or any other sensitive information. Aura also does so much more to protect me and my family from online threats I can't see. I get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. It's really easy to set up. And best of all, I get everything at one affordable price. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to the link in the description to start your 2-week free trial.
And thanks to Aura for sponsoring this video. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.